Okay, we're live.
All right, rise and shine. It's more World Card time. And Dan, the great curator, another live stream episode of Between Two Slabs. Thank you, everybody, for coming on there and watching our show. We just got back from the Union Marketplace at the Del Mar Fairgrounds in Del Mar, California. A lot to say in there, but it is at the Del Mar racetracks and fairgrounds. And we pretty much were in a giant barn, Dan.
Yeah, let's start off the show by kind of talking about that or give our review on that while it's fresh in our minds here. Okay. I thought the show it exceeded my expectations, to be honest, because I was really feeling, especially coming from the Las Vegas show, that I felt like maybe the big show, the big regional shows, I think that was like maybe kind of like reached its course in the hobby where it couldn't support, big crowds anymore and things like that. I didn't think I was going to have a great show. Right. Like I thought it'd be dead, to be honest. I thought I thought it would be dead. But I think that they took the guys at the Union Marketplace, they took a unique approach to this show, and they made it made it entertaining enough to even bring out the crowds during a down market like what we're experiencing right now. So I thought they did a pretty good job. It wasn't my best show of the year. I did all right, but I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself there. I got a couple good deals, and I thought they did a good job. What are your impressions?
Oh, exactly. After coming back from Dallas and the other shows, then you go in the Las Vegas card show, I was a little skeptical, a little worried that it was going to be very little people in a very large place, because this was a huge event. How many tables were there? Do you know exactly?
Approximately? I think like about 325.
Yeah, that's a lot too, folks. That's a lot of tables. Plus they have, other things going on. And, with school and everything, I thought maybe, this was the end of the honeymoon for the large card shows, but they did very well. They did a great job. I guess they did a good job promoting it. So, I commend them, definitely an A for effort.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll give again, it wasn't like the best show out there, right? Like they didn't have the attendance levels of like Burbank, or I should say they didn't have the activity levels of Burbank in terms of people spending a lot of money, in my opinion, from my experience.
Right.
They didn't have like the big attendance levels of like, say, a Dallas usually does, right? But I think that they did a good job for where the show is. It's located in Del Mar, California, which is a little bit north of San Diego. It's not like by an airport or anything like that. It's kind of difficult to get to, I would say, if you're coming down from SoCal, right? I don't know how far it is from the downtown airport of San Diego. Maybe like half an hour.
Probably
right?
40 minutes.
I would say like Del Mar is not like really a destination city or anything like that. So the location is kind of weird. Where it's at is kind of weird. Like you said, it's like a horse barn or something like that.
It is a giant horse barn. Yes.
Yeah. So like, it's kind of like a dark, setting, right? It doesn't have like bright lights or anything like that. But it was like, how do I describe this? I don't know. I think they did the best they could, for what it was. But here's where I want to kind of highlight what I like about their doing. I think they're going to outgrow that place, to be honest.
Oh, really? You think so?
I think they're going to end up moving it somewhere else, because they've moved this show. This show has actually been in development for like over a year, where they originally had it in like a casino in Vegas. Then they moved it to the casino in Pachanga, I think.
Oh, they did. Okay.
And then they moved it here. So I think that they will eventually find another place that's more suitable for a card show. But here's what I like about these guys, the Union Marketplace, is what they're doing a little bit different is they are expanding outside of cards. They are, yes. I definitely noticed a strong presence of other collectibles at the show. I saw comic dealers there, which was very interesting. Which I want to talk about because I might start bringing comics to shows. To be honest,
Well, you
um,
should, Dan.
yeah. So I saw comic dealers there. I saw toy dealers there. I saw,
Oh,
yeah, there was like memorabilia there. They had activities for people that maybe didn't want to buy cards. Like you could play games,
yeah.
like a carnival atmosphere. I thought that was really cool. They had entertainers walking around, like they had the Laker girls there walking around, taking pictures with people, signing autographs, giving pictures out. What I thought was really cool is they got members of the Star Wars cosplay group 505.
Right.
They were walking around like Darth Vader, stormtroopers, Mandalorians. They were walking around taking pictures with people and stuff like that. They had like a Star Wars lightsaber
I saw
duel.
that. Yeah, that was really close to our table.
Yeah,
The
so
Star Wars battle,
I like
lightsaber
that.
battle.
I like that variety in a show because it makes it feel, it makes it feel like an event that you would want to go to if you have a family and you want to bring them there. That's a good way to kind of entertain them. So that's pretty cool. And then I like the fact that they tried to centralize the show inside this hotel, the Hilton Hotel, which is right across from the venue, and they encouraged everybody to basically stay there. They called it the Hobby Hotel. So that was definitely an improvement over last time where I felt like people were a little bit too spread out. The trade nights were good there. The one trade night that I went to. So that was cool. And I feel like with these promoters, Wiley and Alex, they've got a really good team in place. And
Yeah.
the team of like Sarah Breaks, Brian from Talent Sports Cards, Cards and Content, EJ. They go around and they get to know everybody, right? They get to know the vendors and stuff like that. So
Mm.
you feel like you really know the promoters and you want to support them because they're your friends and things like that. So that kind of stuff stood out to me about the show. I thought it was really good. Ways that it could improve, obviously, draw more traffic. That's my biggest complaint with almost every show is I just want more people there. I want more people spending money there.
Exactly.
I want more money flowing through the economy of the show. That's my only complaint about that. But any thoughts on your side?
Well, did you sell any big cards, or was it mostly like lower tier stuff?
I sold my biggest card is I sold my Han Solo on card auto for $2,500.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that was my biggest sale of the show. And then I just had a bunch of like micro deals, like cards under like a couple $100 here and there, trades, things like that, and the slab mags that I was selling.
right. So yeah, so that was the Harrison Ford Han Solo autograph, correct?
Yeah, yes,
Oh, nice. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I mostly just sold things in the $100-$200 range of my slabs. You know, it was mostly just low tier stuff. I didn't sell anything big. There was
yeah,
just a little constant of that. And I,
yeah.
talked to other dealers, and it seemed that's what people were kind of going for. The crowd there was mostly going for the lower tier stuff
Yeah, and I think
or the bargain bins.
that's more of a reflection on where we are in the hobby and the economy, right? People are not spending a lot of big money, so that's not something necessarily the promoters can really control, I think. But they did well enough where they got people in there, and there was constant
Hmm.
flow of foot traffic, which is something you really want to see when you set up at the card show. Believe me, you weren't at Vegas, okay? Like
Everybody
it
told
was
me, man.
terrible. Like I just released my vlog on the Vegas card show, and I really debated whether I should release it or not because I didn't want to take a dump on the promoters of the Vegas show. But almost all my footage is like it's just you don't see anybody walking around. There's a lot of empty
No.
spaces, and but I thought it was important, or I thought it was worthwhile to release the Vegas vlog because I saw other people releasing their vlogs, and they all talked about the same thing. So it wasn't just
No.
me. It wasn't just me. So I thought, okay, maybe I can add my 2 cents in about it. And here's what I think is a good takeaway. I from the Del Mar show. I think it
Okay.
was very important for the Del Mar show, the promoters at the Union Marketplace, to really um, put on a good show. Is very important for the mental state of the hobby, right?
Yes. Hmm.
If they put on the show and it was like a Vegas again 2 weeks
Okay.
in a row, I think that a lot of people that would shake a lot of people's confidence in the hobby right now, and it would have a lot of ripple effects going down the line.
Oh
So
yeah.
the fact that they were able to put on a successful show and get a lot of foot traffic there, I think that they did their job in terms
Yes.
of keeping the momentum going during a difficult time.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just as worried as well. Like, are people going to show up or not?
Yeah. I told them that. I messaged them like about a week before after the Vegas show because I was so upset with it. I messaged them. I said, "Hey guys, you need to get people to show up. Okay, if it turns out like Vegas, we're gonna have a big problem." So I'm glad that they and they did message me back and tell me that they appreciated my feedback. So I think that they did try their best to get people out there. So in that regard, I think it was a success.
I mean, even for like the last Dallas show, the crowd was very minimal. It
Right,
was very,
right. And
low
yeah,
attendance.
yeah. So like it's gonna be interesting because we're going to Dallas in like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks or
Hmm.
whatever.
I know
So
soon, man.
Dallas has to perform now, right? It's
Hmm.
almost like each of these promoters um has a big responsibility to make their show successful. Otherwise, it could like cripple the hobby. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, like it's no longer just about putting on a show, making money. It's about preserving the momentum that we have in the hobby. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Especially right now where there's a lot of like negative news and drama stories that are coming out there. We don't need another story where people can just pile on to why the hobby is dying. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. So, anything you want to highlight from the show? Anything else?
I mean, yeah, it was just a great time. It was great seeing, all the other dealers, not only just from Southern California, but, from other parts of this country that we've seen throughout this past year. It's just a good, camaraderie, great community. Everybody was great. They had a good attendance at the trade night on Saturday. I was so exhausted. I set my cards out for like 10 minutes, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. It was a really long day Saturday. And, I was watching the game half the time. As you know, my Volunteers of Tennessee upset Alabama, and now they're number 3 in the country. So I was watching that on my iPhone with some other customers at my table. So that was a lot of fun. So I was in a great mood for that, great spirits. But
What
it
I
was just
thought
great
was
fun with
what I
all you
thought was
guys.
funny is after Tennessee won, you were wearing a Tennessee
Yes,
T-shirt,
I
and then
was.
after
And my
you
shoes.
won,
Did you see my shoes
like
too?
like 20, 30 people walking up to you throughout the whole night saying congratulations. They were shaking your hand, patting you on the back as if you played the game, like you were the coach or
I'm
something
a
like that.
part owner, man.
I was like, guys, like he didn't play the game. Why is he getting so much like love and admiration? So I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I told my girlfriend, she knew a little about it, but I told
Yeah.
her everybody was coming up to me,
Uh,
congratulating me all night.
you brought up a good point though. Something that we don't really highlight enough, I think, is the level of camaraderie that I felt or that we felt at the
Hmm.
show. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, you hit it right on the nose right there. Like there's so many people that we know from the hobby, that we see all the time, and even if things are not like great, like we're not doing a lot of deals, making a lot of money, if we're there hanging out with our friends, our family, people that we care about in the hobby, then there's a lot of value in that too, I think. And that's kind of how I felt this weekend. And a lot of the enjoyment that I got out of the weekend was just hanging out with you, Adrian,
Hmm.
uh, you know, uh,
Mo
Mo, and all the guys that we see all the time,
and Daps and Eric.
Daps, Eric, seeing them, seeing all
And I
the
see Brandon here from Prodigy Card Collector. He
yes,
was set up, and Trader Griff's was there
right,
setting up for his first time. A lot of
right,
people setting up for their first time.
yeah,
Adrian was.
and then
So,
getting to meet our people who support us, who want to take pictures with us and
mhm.
tell us how they love our show and things like that. So getting that type of feedback, that type of feeling, that was really awesome to
Yeah,
be
and
honest.
them like buying their first, pop culture card for their
Oh
first
yeah,
time, even though they mostly collect sports, but
yeah. I
finally
get
dabbling into the non-sports.
I gave away a lot of free cards. I started a lot of Star Wars collections that weekend with people. So I thought that was super cool. So that's another thing that, guys, you got to realize that when you go to card shows, it's not always about what type of deal you get, or the best deal or cards or whatever. A lot of, I would say like it's equally important to just have a good time and meet people and network. You guys, like, you don't understand how important it is to show your face and network in the hobby, right?
Right.
It you get a lot of opportunities the more active you are, and the better reputation you have in the hobby, the better deals you can get, and that comes from going to these card shows and showing your face and meeting people and hanging out.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, some of the big, dealers and YouTubers all come to our table just to say hello to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So we appreciate everybody that we met over the weekend. That was really fun. So I'm sure they'll do another one of those things. They don't do it every month or every other month like some of these other places. So I'm sure the next time they do it, maybe, sometime next year, 3 months, 6 month from now, I'm sure
Yeah,
it'll
it's
be
been
even
about every 6
better.
months right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you guess in March again.
Right. So so that would be cool when that happens. Do you want to show off? Did you get anything you want to show off there?
Dude, I hardly got anything, but I bought this card because I've wanted one of these cards, but I can't really afford the 84 one that you've probably got a hold of, you're looking for. But I wanted a Michael Jordan card, but I got an 86 one instead.
Nice.
I
I
just
don't
wanted
have
to
any
own
stars.
one, and it's 8.5. I
Yeah.
wanted something 8.5 or better, and I found a great deal on it,
Sweet.
so I bought it.
Sweet. Nice.
Because I feel like 84 to 86 star are just as good and
Yeah.
relevant
Yeah.
as anything.
Very
So
cool.
get them while they're cheap.
Very cool. One thing I got here is I got a Spider-Man Metal Blaster.
Oh
This
wow, where'd you get that? At the show?
this was actually a gift to me from
Oh,
Alex, one of the promoters from the Union Marketplace. We did this thing where we were shooting hoops to see who'd win,
okay.
and he beat me. He cheated, but he beat me. And this was his prize, and he just gifted to me. So that was very nice of him. So I will open this probably tonight live.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yes.
I'll check it out then. I'll have to
But
tune in.
one of my favorite pickups is this sealed box of 1992 Marvel masterpieces.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
this set right here. This set right
Right
here.
behind you.
Yes, this is a
That big sheet.
sealed box. This was something I purchased from a friend of the show, Seeking Slabs, Ben Seeking Slabs from
Ben,
Hawaii.
yes, from Hawaii.
Gave me a great deal on this. So this is probably one of my favorite pickups. I'm going to keep it sealed because this is my favorite set. So it's just something cool to have.
Nice. And were those boxes all serial numbered?
Yes, actually.
They were. Okay.
So there's a sticker right here. It's too small to see for the camera. There's a sticker right there, and it tells you the serial number of this box, which is they made 350,000 of these boxes.
Oh, interesting.
And then the serial number, which is kind of weird that they would do that back in the 90s, right?
I know, right?
But yeah, that's what it is. So pretty cool.
And now you're going to hold on to that for a while? Just
Yeah.
Sealed?
I'll tell you what scares me. I actually had one of these before. I opened it, and all the cards were bricked together. And
I remember you telling me that.
If you don't know what that means, it means the cards stick together, and if you pull them apart, it tears the paper off of it. So I do not dare open this box because you don't know how it's stored. If this was stored in like a heated, humid area or warehouse or something like that, all these years, it's going to be bricked for sure.
No.
So I'm just going to keep it as is. I like it. I like it as a sealed product. I think it's cool. And it will display nicely on my shelf.
That most definitely.
Yeah.
Nice one.
That's probably
you bought that right before I left on Sunday.
Yeah. He gave me a great deal on it, and
I know, good job.
I took it for sure. Anything you want to add before we move on?
Let me think. No, I mean I'm going on vacation next week to St. Lucia, so we probably won't have an episode next week because I'm going to get a suntan. So hopefully when you see me again, I'll get some sun. Since you and I've been in conventions every weekend.
I know.
I don't feel like I've got any sun this year. But I'll be coming back strong, and like right when I get back, I mean we're right back to Dallas for the last show of the year in Dallas.
Let's talk about big card shows. Okay, going into this. So we're transitioning from the Del Mar card show. Even though I think the Del Mar card show was a good show, I don't know if I would say that it was like that it's on the level of being considered one of the best shows in the country or a destination show yet.
Okay.
Right. So the question is, are these big shows, is the era of the big card show run its course? Right? Because we have been going to these big shows all year long. Me and you made the commitment to travel this year, and we did. Man, we have traveled a lot,
Yeah,
a lot. And it seems like these big shows they couldn't miss before, right? Like Dallas. What's another good show that we went to? I don't even know. But like all these big shows that like we were gonna have success, right? If there was like 300 plus tables at a show, it was gonna be good. But I feel like we've talked about this before. There might be big show fatigue, because it's like a big show, a big regional show every 2 weeks or every month now. You know what I mean? Like we just had Vegas 2 weeks ago. Then we had Del Mar this past week. And in 2 weeks, we go to Dallas, right?
Right.
And this weekend, I think this weekend or next weekend is a big show in Nashville. So it's like,
and I think the show locator may be attending that one.
Yeah,
I know some other people are that I spoke with at the show.
There's big regional shows every month, it seems like, and now they're competing with each other. Now, before they used to kind of be spread out where you could go to all these shows, but now they're like competing against each other. I know there was like the Midwest Monster Show during the Vegas card show, I think.
Oh, it was the one in Indiana. Yeah, that's the one we missed back in the beginning of the summer as well.
Something like that, right? But there seems to be big shows in each region like at the same time, and these promoters are competing against each other. And I'm just wondering if that time is over. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was a gold rush for small shows to level up, increase their table space, and become big regional shows. We saw that here in SoCal, right? How many shows did we have in SoCal 6 months ago? We had a show every weekend.
Yes, we did. It was getting too much, and plus there were multiple shows the same weekend.
Yeah, 100 tables, 200 tables, and then they started leveling up until these shows started to like cannibalize each other. Now we only have like maybe like two medium-sized shows a month, basically.
Good,
right? But I feel like that's happening nationally now, and I'm just wondering if where it's going to go, because I feel like these shows. It's easy for them to sell out the tables because people want to sell their cards. So they're going to sell the tables, but they can't bring in buyers who are spending money to make the show really successful, because I feel like maybe they're turning over what's the word I want to use? They're turning over the people too much, right? Like we're spending too much money too quick. As people who are participating in the hobby, we can't keep up with the level of activity that they're serving us. I think that same thing's happening with the online marketplaces like Golden and PWCC and Alt and all these other marketplaces, right? Like Heritage, where they're just having too many auctions every month, and we're just turning cards over too much, where it gets
I can see that.
Fatigue. Right. So I feel like that what's happening with the online marketplaces, I'm feeling that same type of pressure with the shows. And me personally, going into 2023, and I'm going to talk to you about this, off camera, we're going to have to adjust our show schedule, because there's no way we can do this again next year. Like we
oh my God,
must have been to like 15, 18 shows this year already. And that's too much. You know what I mean?
And I'm still beat from it. I'm still recovering from them all. You are too.
I was telling Ann, my wife, I was like, oh man, I feel like just so exhausted now. You know what I mean? Like after Del Mar, so exhausted.
It catches up to you.
Yeah, like I ran a marathon. Like I ran a marathon pretty much. And it's starting to become like it's not enjoyable enough for me to have to travel to these shows anymore. So next year we're definitely gonna take down our schedule, maybe go to like 4 or 5 shows next year.
I agree.
So I just wonder, like, if these promoters are thinking about that. I wish these promoters, I feel like they should kind of like form some type of alliance, right? And they kind of remind me of like wrestling promoters. They each control a different
territories. You mean back in the old NWA days?
Yeah, they each control a territory, but I feel like they need to form an alliance, whatever you want to call it, a group of promoters where they can plan out their schedules, plan out how to promote and funnel people to their big shows, because that's what's really going to keep the momentum of the hobby going. If we have strong shows, if these shows like don't perform well and they die out, that's really going to hurt the confidence that we have in the hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely not good.
Yeah. So I try to bring up that conversation as much as I can. I hope that these promoters hear some of the things that we talk about and consider that, and maybe they'll adjust their strategy going into next year, because I think that if they just keep making these shows bigger and bigger and bigger, and they keep having them more frequently, people are just going to burn out. And then if you can't get outsiders to come to your show and you're just relying on the local community, it's probably not going to work out.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next topic here.
And I was going to say, like, I hadn't even seen you so tired and exhausted this weekend as you were this weekend. And this was a local show pretty much. We weren't flying anywhere. We just drove from our homes down to Del Mar. Because it's only like an hour for you?
About an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
People don't know. It's a lot of labor that we have to put in. I mean, not only just the prepping,
right?
Pricing the cards, comping the cards, organizing them, get them displayed, get display cases down there. But we're on our feet all day on that concrete, and we're talking nonstop to people, because that's part of it.
That's funny that you bring that up, because we don't talk about that. We never talk about like the work that goes into preparing for a show. We just show the fun stuff, like the deals, and we talk about our experience and things like that. But two of our friends, Trader Griff's and CV Sports Cards, they set up at the show also this weekend, and what they were talking about was like how much prep goes into these shows, right? They're like, I can't believe how long it took me to price my cards, to comp my cards, to set up, to do all this stuff, right? And that is a reality of card shows also. It's not all glamorous all the time. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And I think for me personally, it's definitely taken its toll on me for sure. On Sunday, I was like, I couldn't even move. I couldn't move.
I know that. Trust me, I know the feeling. Preaching to the choir, buddy.
Yeah, but if I had got like a big sale, guys, I would have had all the energy in the world.
You would have had it. You would have had a high off of it.
Yeah, the adrenaline would have got me going. But yeah, so it's something to consider for sure.
We didn't have that Kurosawa deal this time.
I know, show. almost.
Well, you had a little something similar to it.
Yeah.
With Daps.
We got something going. Something going.
Which you'll see in your vlog, right?
Right.
We'll see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So next thing I want to kind of talk about, let's shift gears a little bit, guys, here. Something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and this is kind of deviate from the hobby just a little bit, but I feel like it's important to talk about because I'm seeing it more lately, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just like the people that I hang out with or the people that I follow on social media, where I see these subjects being talked about. But let's talk about quiet quitting a little bit here.
And what is that?
So you never heard of quiet quitting?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay,
it doesn't ring a bell at all.
I feel like maybe this is like a topic that's trending for people in their 20s and 30s, early 30s.
So like millennials?
Yes. So
Gen Zers?
But basically, quiet quitting is where people are encouraged to just do the bare minimum at work because they're not getting paid to go. If they go the extra mile, if they work extra hours, or they do take on more responsibilities or extra projects at work, they're not being compensated for their time or effort. From that, they're not being directly compensated from that. So there's like this big movement where people are saying you should just quiet quit, where basically you check out from your work, and you're still working, but you're just doing the bare minimum. You won't do anything extra. And I personally, I'm not of that mentality. I think it's kind of dumb. But what I worry about for people that are kind of paying attention to that stuff, I feel like they're being kind of taught to be entitled to certain things at work, right? And it's a dangerous mentality to have, because I've always been brought up outside of the card world, in my professional setting. I've always been taught that you need to separate yourself from everybody else. And the way that you do that is you work the hardest, you take on responsibilities, you prove yourself, you show that you're reliable, you do whatever you can to stick out from the crowd. And you're not always going to get compensated for that in terms of a paycheck. Sometimes you just have to earn favor. You have to earn points with the people in charge. And then when there's an opportunity that comes up, you're going to be that go-to guy, right? I've always had that mentality. So I feel like that message is out there a lot these days. And I just kind of wanted to kind of speak to it a little bit, because I think that the way the economy is going, I feel like there's going to be a point where there's going to be cuts to be made, right? In every industry, there's going to be cuts. And believe me, the first people they're going to cut are the people that don't stand out from the crowd, that are not essential to whatever business that is, and that have just shown that they're only willing to do the bare minimum for the work involved. What's your take on that? You work in the entertainment industry. You're essentially a freelancer, right?
Yes.
So like, what is the mentality? How do you get jobs working? Do you do the bare minimum and you just expect to get work, or like how does it?
You won't get any much more work if you do the bare minimum. Let me tell you.
Right.
Yeah, you have to work your butt off, because that's how you get hired again. Because hopefully you have good friendship and a good working relationship with other not only other editors but other producers and supervisors as well.
Mm-hmm. And you get
so they trust
referrals
you
and stuff, right? From
yeah
that.
it's all about referrals
Yeah.
and who you know.
So I want to tie that into the hobby a little bit here, because I feel like sometimes in the hobby, right, you have to go the extra mile. To build a reputation with people. When you're doing deals, you might have to give a little bit when you do a deal if you want to build a long-term relationship with somebody. If you have a business where you're selling cards, right, you might have to give an extra layer of an extra level of customer service, taking on returns when you don't want to, or paying for shipping or stuff like that on big deals and things like that. And I think that could be like a lesson that people should learn, that if you really want to or even if you're working for somebody, or you're helping out somebody within the hobby, like you work for a card shop, or you're trying to help promote a product or something like that, if you want the best opportunities and you want to be able to level up your game in anything, whether it's a hobby or a professional or anything like that, you got to be willing to go the extra mile, because you got to separate yourself from the pack, right? If you just think that you're going to be entitled to opportunities, and everybody should have equal opportunities at everything like that, that's a nice way of thinking, but that's just not how the real world works. You know what I mean? So just a little bit of motivation. That I know this is not what we normally talk about, but I thought it was kind of important to kind of give my thoughts on that with all the content that I'm seeing produced about this. Anything you want to add to that?
I mean, yeah, because there's many times when I have taken a job as an editor, an assistant editor, because there's someone that has been hired or they were going to hire, that was on the staff, that was quietly quitting. They do very little, and I end up having to do 90% of their work.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. And I shouldn't, have to work for their work.
Right. And you don't appreciate it, but I'm sure if you do most of the work, it's recognized at some point,
Oh,
right?
it definitely recognized.
Like
Yes.
people will see this is the guy. This
Oh,
is the
most
guy that
definitely.
we want on our team for the next project,
Right.
right? And then they'll give you that spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm sure there's like levels of editor, right? So you'd be like maybe the lead editor next time or something.
Right. Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So just kind of keep that in mind. And then just moving on from this, here's another thing that I really think is important to talk about that we don't talk about enough. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I've been doing like a lot of interviews with different people lately, and everybody keeps telling me that we should make more educational content, right? A little bit. So
Right.
I think it's important to mix it in. So that's why we're talking about this stuff tonight, guys. But I want to talk about the importance of networking, in outside of the hobby and inside of the hobby. All right. I think networking is a lost form of art that is not taught to this generation of people. Right? There's a lot of young kids in the hobby right now. When I say young kids, I mean people like probably under 25 years old, or people that have not worked in maybe a professional setting, so they don't know how to act accordingly. Sometimes they don't know the importance of building a strong reputation and networking. But if you're in any type of industry where you have to deal with people, okay, networking is very, very important because, you know, nobody's out there trying to help you unless they like you, right? If
Mm-hmm.
people like you and they see value in you, they're going to go out of their way to help you. They're going to give you opportunities and things like that. But if you develop any type of bad reputation where you're difficult to work with, you're a jerk, or unreliable or anything like that, you're not going to get those same type of opportunities. So that happens in the corporate world. And here's another thing too, like I'll mention, is that whether you want to acknowledge this or not, believe me, in all my years, I'm almost 40 years old, and in all my years of being an adult, what I have learned over the last 20 years of being an adult is that it's all about who you know, right? Like you're not entitled to anything, any type of opportunity. It's all about who you know and how you can play that Game of Thrones to position yourself to get the
Oh,
best
yeah.
opportunities, right?
Most
So
definitely.
yeah, this is not something that they teach you in school or anything like that. You have to get into the real world and deal with people and see how deals are done. A lot of deals, like they joke about deals being done on the golf course or at the bar and things like that. That is very much true in life,
Mm-hmm.
where deals are done in social settings and things like that based off of the relationship that you can build with people. So, bringing this back to the hobby, I feel like sometimes in the hobby, people who don't know how to act or don't value relationships and networking, they'll burn bridges for short-term gain. They'll squeeze somebody on a deal just to make a couple bucks, not realizing that that could get them a reputation for hurting, for a reputation in the future that could cost them opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do a bad deal or a deal they're not happy about, they can make a big scene about it and kill any type of relationship they have with that person or things like that. Personally, over the last 2 years that I've been full-time in the hobby, I've had probably only like 3 bad interactions with people in the hobby that I can actually remember. And it's over stupid stuff that happens. But unfortunately, when that happens, you don't do business with that person anymore. And whether that person realizes or not, they miss out on any type of future opportunities that I could bring them or anybody else that they have a bad interaction with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I meant it's very important, your relationships with people, not just other dealers, but with customers as well. You know, it's very important just to have just really good relationships. You don't know who's who, what they do, so it's always good to just be good and nice to them. You know me, I'm pretty much try to be nice to everybody, and me, I talk to everyone. So um,
That
I
is
just
so
try to be
true.
myself. That's all I
Yeah.
can be. Is just be myself.
Yeah. When you say you don't know who these people are or what they could
Yes.
become,
Hmm.
right? Or who they're connected to, that is so true. So that's why you always have to treat people with respect. This is part of my gentleman investor code that I preach in all my videos. You've got to treat people with respect. You got to be kind, helpful, and just present yourself in a way where people want to know you. You know what I mean? People want to know you, people like you, they want to help you, and those opportunities will come from that. If you protect your reputation, the opportunities will come from that. But if if you're not polite and you're not kind, you're a jerk and you have a bad reputation for not even just doing bad things. I'm not talking about scamming. I'm not talking about being a bad actor. I'm just talking about people not liking you for whatever reason, right? If you develop that type of reputation in the hobby or even outside the hobby, it's going to be very difficult for you to get those opportunities that other people are getting, for sure. And believe me, guys, you want those opportunities. You want the chance to buy the best cards or to invest in a company, or if you need help on a certain deal or whatever, right? You need to build a good, strong network. And anybody that's listening to this that's not experienced in this and you don't know what I'm talking about, learn about it, right? Make an effort, because especially if you're young, if you're under like 25 and you never had a corporate job before or anything like that, learn the art of networking and you will level up your game very quick.
Most definitely.
Right. Okay. So we'll move on from that. I don't want to spend too much. This is not like a corporate discussion. Okay. But I want to be able to help anybody I can with that.
Are you going to make a more educational video of this?
I think it's worth talking about, but like, I feel like, I feel like it's good to bring our backgrounds and what makes us successful outside of the hobby into this a little bit. Honestly, I would love to talk about this more, but it can be very boring at times. And maybe not a lot of people want to hear this kind of stuff. So we just got to sprinkle it in a little bit. Okay. On top of showing really cool cards and on top of talking about hobby issues, we got to sprinkle in a little bit of education. I think that will help our viewers. And then if we can tie it into the hobby, that I think they'd appreciate that. All right.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, one of the things when I was in school and also being educated with other things with editing and everything, when you're about networking, is that you'll discover that, like, say for me, for instance, I work in the entertainment industry, that most of your networking or maybe your job seeking doesn't even come from within the industry. It comes outside the industry. It could be you talking to your mailman, like he may know somebody, or you may be in line at Starbucks and you run to somebody. I mean, hell, I've ran to so many people in the entertainment industry at card shows where we've traded information, contacts, because they need my help and vice versa. They may know somebody that can help me get an editing job. You never know. In the same way,
Right.
They're looking for work too. For me.
Right.
But it's just great that you discover these things.
One of the strongest things that you can get out of people is a referral, right? If you need help with something, whether it's like a legal issue, whether it's finance issue, whether it's something around your house, work done or something like that, right? You always say, hey, do you know a guy, right? Do you have a guy for this? Can you give me a referral? So it's a very strong thing to have. So you got to always like put yourself out there and present yourself, because you never know where you're going to get a referral from. In my professional setting, most of my business comes from referrals, right? People will just call me up, out of the blue, and they'll be like, hey, Cindy referred me to you. Hey, Jack referred me to you. And when they get a referral, they automatically, they intuitively trust you for being, what the type of help that they need, because they got a referral from somebody else that they trust, right? Same thing in the hobby. If you do a deal and you might get a referral from somebody else saying, hey, I heard you have a card, or hey, can you sell this card for me, or whatever, right? And that is based off of the reputation that you build within the hobby. So referrals and networking is very, very important because of the referral relationships that you can get from that, for sure. And you're right, you never know what somebody does. You never know where they come from, who they know, where you can get a good referral from. So it's very important that you always treat everybody with respect and always try to maintain a good reputation and be cool with everybody. And one thing,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's even same with the hobby too. It's just like, I work in the entertainment industry and I tell people, I collect cards and everything, and they get so interested in it. And they get like, can I bring my cards to the office tomorrow and show it to you? You can tell me how much they are, appraise them for me. I'm like, sure. And you never know that somebody may have something they can sell you that you could take with you to the show. this is the same thing. It's just
Right.
that you're being very open of who you are and transparent and telling people what you like to do and what your hobbies and what your work's about, so people know. That's
Right.
it's very
Right.
important.
And what's something that people don't realize too is that our hobby is cards, right? The industry of cards is a hobby that gives us a common interest to bond with people.
Hmm.
So it's really you can take it so much more beyond whatever the hobby is. Think of the hobby as like playing golf. Like let's just say all of us we love to play golf, and every weekend we go to these card shows and we play golf with each other, right? That's how we network. And through that, we can meet people and build relationships. And if we need help, let's just say I need a lawyer, I need a doctor, I need a handyman, I need to buy a new car, I need this or that, right?
Right.
We can network through the hobby. The hobby is a common interest. A lot of people are so focused on just like buying, selling, trading cards that they don't realize that the hobby is just a small medium to interact with people, but the real opportunities comes from the relationships that you can build from the hobby. Think of it, guys, like think of the hobby as like we're in an exclusive country club, right? You know why people are part of country clubs? You know why people pay a lot of money to be members of country clubs, where they go there so that they can hang out and meet different people,
Right. The
right?
schmooze.
Yes, networking. See, that's what the hobby is, right? The hobby is one big country club
Oh
that we
no.
can all be a part
Block
of.
these people.
Yeah, I know, that we can all be a part of, and we have to use that as the opportunity to network with people. I myself personally, I have met a lot of good people in the hobby where I have gone out of my way to help them in other areas outside the hobby. I mentor a couple people, that I've met through the hobby on different matters and things like that, because I like them and I met them, and I've gotten a lot of help from people outside of the hobby too. I mean, that I've met inside the hobby, and I've gotten help with them from other things. So that is a very powerful thing that a lot of people overlook and we don't talk about enough, but I think is very important.
Now, have you gotten some clients for being a divorce mediator
I have.
through the card shows?
I have. I have. I've gotten business opportunities. I've gotten, I've had conversations about, real estate investing and things like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I've had conversations with you about things that are not hobby related, right?
true.
You
So
know,
true. Yep. I've
so
learned a lot from you.
yeah, so that's just one thing I just want people to think about. Think about other ways, because we're so focused on buying, selling, trading cards, and when the market is down, it's hard to be excited about it. But you gotta see the value in the other things that comes from being involved in the hobby. Okay,
Mm.
all right. Um,
I just hope when you do all this mediations for a divorce, that you help save your clients a card collection.
I've had clients who have offered to pay me.
Hey, cards.
Yes, and and usually I try not to do that, but I might start trading services for, I might do it. I don't know.
Okay, a case of Star Wars Galaxy Chrome.
Yeah, I had a guy who offered me a Jordan 86 Flare Jordan, like
Ooh,
PSA
wow.
6 at one time, but he valued it too high. So I was like, I'd rather just pay me my fee, right?
Oh
Instead of
man.
taking that. But it's not out of the question. I think it'd be fun to do something like that, just for the hell of it. Um, okay, moving on to that. This is the last. Sorry, guys. There's been a lot of things on my mind the last week that I want to talk about. I'm just trying to help, just trying to have these conversations and put out the information to try to be helpful to people. But this is the last thing we'll talk about, and then we'll talk about some more fun stuff
Okay.
after this. Um, and this is why I love having our podcast Between Two Slabs, because it gives us such a creative outlet to discuss whatever's on our mind during the week. So this is really what it's all about for me. Um,
Okay.
I feel like people are talking about a deeper recession coming soon in all
Hmm.
markets. And there's two ways that you can look at it. You can look at it in terms of you just got to survive, You got to survive what's happening with the stocks crashing, maybe layoffs in the future, inflation, things like that. You just got to survive it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to build up your defenses, make sure that you're okay so that you can survive the storm and weather storm. But there are also people that are looking at it as potential opportunities to buy into things at a steep discount and use that as an opportunity to build their wealth in the future. I don't want to have a long conversation about this because I feel like we got to be careful about what we say. But what I want people to understand about this is pay attention to it. Pay attention to it, okay? And be ready to take advantage of opportunities when they come, okay? That's what I really want to emphasize to people. Pay attention to what's going on and be ready to take advantage of opportunities when they come if you're in that position. And you can do this with cards too, okay? This is not just stocks or real estate or whatever. You could do this with cards.
Mm-hmm.
If the cards that you wanted that you couldn't get a year ago because you thought they were overpriced or they were out of your price range, if they come down substantially and they're at a point where maybe you can make a play on it, this could be your opportunity. Okay. And outside of the hobby, same thing applies. Okay. Use the hobby as a learning experience or an area where you can practice life skills and try to apply that outside of the hobby, because you can do the same thing. There will be opportunities in real estate. There will be opportunities in stocks, opportunities in different businesses that you can invest in. And if you're in the right position to do it, you can definitely take advantage of that. Okay. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, just, go with your passions, man. That's all I can say.
Yes. There will be a tough period. There will be a winter, as they like to call it, coming soon for everybody. And it's going to be tough for everybody. But if you can weather the storm and you can position yourself to come out of it with the opportunity to grab some of the things that you wanted to invest in at a discount, you will be in a good place. Believe me. Okay. Believe me. It's happened. It happened in 2020. Okay. When we had the pandemic and everything crashed, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people made a lot of money during those 2
They
years.
did.
And
Uh-huh.
now you get another chance. Okay. And the last time that something happened like this was back in the housing crash of like 2008 or nine. Right.
Right.
So these opportunities, they don't always come up. You never know when they happen. So you just try to position yourself in a place where you can take advantage. Okay.
Yeah, I just say, just don't panic. Don't panic.
Yes.
Walk, don't run.
Right, right. Everybody's going to survive. It's going to
Yes.
be tough times. Everybody's going to survive though, right? We are resilient. Human beings are resilient. You will survive. You're not going to starve to death or anything like that.
No.
But try to put yourself in a position where you can take advantage, okay, of discounts.
I
Take
have
advantage.
noticed a lot of like the big YouTubers lately have posted in the past week about like it's a great buying time and blah 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 for the market.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective. Like you can look at something like you could buy that one card that you really wanted today, and if the price goes down next week, whatever, you can get really upset about it, or you can just look at it as a buying opportunity. You know, you're like to either get another one, lower your cost basis, or you can just look at it as things are treading down, but eventually they're going to trade up. Again, same thing with stocks, all right? If you buy like Apple stock today and it goes down tomorrow, are you really gonna feel really bad about it, or do you believe in that stock that it can go up a year from now and
Hmm.
have a nice appreciation on it? So that's a kind of a way that you got to think about these things, right? Everything goes down, every market goes down, right, at some point, but at some point they will go back up. That's
Go
how
back up.
markets go. They're cyclical. They go
Hmm.
down, then they go back up, then they go down, then go back up, right? So you just got to be prepared, or prepare yourself mentally to kind of deal with that. But those are the people that can weather the storm, are the people that make the most money.
Oh my gosh, more of these people
Right.
things.
We're so
Good
popular
lord.
today. We got a lot of popular people in the chat.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that happens. Well, there's so many people that jumped into the card hobby during the pandemic, and so they're not kind of used to it. Not only just plateauing, but also the market coming down as well. So they never experienced that. And there's thousands and thousands of people who just got into the hobby the last few years, and now they can panic. And
Yes, that's a great point, because and that's one of the reasons why I kind of want to have this like serious conversation tonight, or off topic conversation, because a lot of people that got into the hobby the last 2 years are younger
mhm.
people, like we were talking about, people that might not have experience in with these kind of things. They're younger and they're just seeing, how prices are going down, and they're thinking that this is the end of it,
The end
right?
of it. Yep.
But it's not, right? If you can weather the storm, you will survive. The people that come out of this, that are really hurting, they come out of this, are the people that panic sell, the people that get out of the game. Basically people who are short term. If you're short term in any market, you might make a little bit of money, but long term, you're not gonna be better off than you were before. But if you're long term in any type of market, any type of investment, then you can weather storms, and you can come out on top, and you'll be in a better position than you were before.
Yeah, that's another thing. I used to know so many of the flippers in the LA area, in Southern California area, and like for instance, this weekend, I don't see those guys anymore. Like, what happened to them, Dan?
They got out of the game. They can't make any money. It's hard to flip. When
Yeah.
the market is not going up, it's very hard to flip cards. So that's probably what they're experiencing right now. But for people who are long term, they always do well.
Okay.
Always do well. Okay. Look at all the people that have the best collections, that make the most money in the hobby. Those are the people that are long term. Okay, they weather the storm, and when things are like the way they're right now, they take advantage of it.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Moving on to let's move on to something. Let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, and then we'll get the comments here.
All right,
Um,
Professor Nguyen, what do we
yes,
have next?
thank you. So an update on Star Wars Chrome Series 2, Star Wars Galaxy Chrome Series
Oh
2.
yeah, I heard a rumor. But
Yes.
first of
So
all, say what's the was the original release date, or if it's still intended or not.
So the original published release date is October 26th, which is just like next week. But
Yeah.
we heard from a reliable inside source. I don't want to. We can't get into
Yeah.
details here. We heard from a
No
reliable inside
pointing
source
fingers.
that it's probably going to be delayed about 1 to 2 months. Okay,
Yowza. So
so
that's what, December, January?
something like that. Yeah.
Woo,
So
okay.
so
Hey, for
it's probably going
Christmas?
to be delayed. It's probably going to be delayed, guys. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if you get a chance to pre-order it, you should try to pre-order it, because I,
Still,
I
yes.
bet you anything they will increase the price on it
I agree.
as it gets closer. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about. This is really interesting. This occurred to me today. Okay.
What's that?
WWE Impeccable was recently released, and this is their lower tiered high end product from Panini. Impeccable, where you're getting on card autos.
Ooh,
Okay,
impeccable. So this is kind of like a flawless,
it's a level
or
below
level
flawless.
below flawless. Okay.
Yeah, impeccable,
Or
immaculate.
immaculate.
Yes, immaculate. Yeah, I guess so.
Kind of
There's
look a
like
little similar to it, right?
there's like 4 luxury brands that they have, right? Impeccable, immaculate, flawless, national treasures,
Okay.
and then eminence, right? So this is like their lowest tier high end brand,
So
if
on
that makes
card
sense,
autos.
right?
Nice.
So
Ooh.
so you're seeing those sales go up on eBay right now. But so and it looks nice. It's really nice product. I might pick up one or two if I find like a really rare one. I might pick it up, but it's not something that I'm necessarily going to be collecting. I'm waiting for flawless. I'm a flawless guy myself,
I
so
love
I'm waiting for,
flawless.
yeah, even immaculate. I would wait for immaculate, because with the immaculate, they usually have like crazy type of patches that come
Oh,
out.
that's right.
So who knows? We might see like a piece of a
Ooh.
championship belt or something. I don't
Ooh.
know. But I'm
And how
waiting for
much?
immaculate and flawless to come out. But here's what I thought. Here's what just occurred to me that I thought was very interesting about wrestling cards. Okay, what? Who are the people that command the most money in wrestling?
Mean the wrestlers?
Yes, top of your head.
What's the top tier, the champion guys? It's going to be the main eventers, like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. Is that what you're talking about? Or
Yes,
Roman Reigns, The
yes,
Rock,
yes.
um,
No, and
Stone
what? Are,
Cold, Shawn
yes,
Michaels,
and what do those
Triple
guys have
H.
in common?
What?
They're legends, right?
Yes.
They're legends. And what are the guys that don't command any money at all? Are the new guys, right? That nobody
Hmm.
knows. So In wrestling, the ceiling of prices is determined by the legends, the top guys, the guys who have done it, or the guys who are most relevant today, like Roman Reigns, the champions, right? And the people at the floor, at the bottom, are the NXT guys that nobody really knows. They don't have a push going. Nobody's developed their names or anything like that.
Right. Those are like the minor league prospects.
Yes. But in sports, it's the opposite. The legends are not worth anything. They're the floor where the prospects that have not proven themselves and nobody knows who they are, they command the most money. Like in basketball, Cad Cunningham, who's a second-year player, he averaged 17 points last year, right? I think he was picked number 1. But yeah, averaged 17 points last year. His Black Prism was pulled recently, and they're saying it's a $500,000 card. It's one of the best cards ever, right? More money than every legend out there, probably more money than most LeBron James cards, right? And he hasn't done anything. And that's the way it is for baseball, football, everything, right? But in wrestling, it's the opposite. Doesn't it make more sense to collect that way, right? If we're looking at the hobby from an investment perspective, doesn't it make more sense to price your cards based off of the legends versus the prospects?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. So and maybe that's because in wrestling is made up of collectors, right? There's not a lot of like full-time investors in the wrestling market, right? Wrestling is mostly supported by the collector base, and the collectors value the people who have done it before. So I wonder if we can learn anything from if the WWE product continues to gain popularity in the hobby, and they keep making sets of these, and they become more in line with what they make for sports cards and things like that. I wonder if people will just look at this and be like, yeah, that's a good model. You know, wrestling cards are much more stable than these other markets. You're less likely to get burned if you spend $500,000 on a wrestling card that is a legend and he's already established and nothing's going to happen to him, right? You're much more your money, your investment is much more safer than if you invest in an unproven prospect who never turns out to be anything, right? So I wonder if we can learn anything from wrestling and transition that over into the other markets. Any thoughts on that?
Well, man, but what do you think about like the vintage, like baseball and everything, like football? Because everybody always wants a Mickey Mantle, or they want that Jordan card, or they want a Hank Aaron or a Jackie Robinson.
Well, vintage is a different category. Okay. So, like,
but that's the same, isn't it?
People aren't prospecting vintage players, right? Like, so vintage is a different category, and wrestling has its own vintage cards too. But I'm talking with modern products.
Oh yeah, so they don't really always make like a new Mickey Mantle card or a Babe Ruth card. I mean, sometimes they do, but
they will. Like I've seen Babe Ruth show up in Panini Prism.
Yes.
You know,
saw someone with the gold 1/1.
Yeah, but they're not worth that much. You know what I mean? Like compared to some of the other guys, like people don't really care about that stuff. You can still see like vintage basketball players in the Prism products. You can get like Wilt Chamberlain cards, Jerry West, Kobe cards and things like that. And they're not worth as much as like a Cad Cunningham, you know what I mean? But I hope that people will realize that that's a more efficient way to value cards rather than what they're doing right now, which is very speculative and creates a lot of volatility in the market. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've started to see the hobby do better with like the Legends of Hall of Famers and the new stuff, especially like Flawless National Treasures or Prism or whatever, players like Larry Bird, Otto or Magic Johnson or Kareem. I mean, yeah, they started off like last year, you could have gotten them for nothing, like a patch auto of these greats. And now they're starting to, people are starting to wise up, collectors, and like why you should be able to buy a Larry Bird auto that's numbered out of like 20 or out of 5. That's a flawless card. But I think people are starting to wise up and they're going up in price. Yeah, you have one right there. Who's that? Pistol Pete?
This is Jerry West.
Oh, Jerry West. Okay.
Flawless auto out of 2.
Wow.
Okay. Jerry West is the logo. Hall of Famer, top 75 player, legend, right?
Right.
This card's probably worth like $300, $400, $500 max.
Yeah.
Max.
That's a steal.
Right? Whereas if you have a flawless of, I don't know, Zion. Well, Zion's a special case, but like let's just say like Jordan Poole, for example.
Okay, Jordan Poole,
probably be like $2,000 or something like that, right? James Wiseman or these rookies that are coming out, Cad Cunningham, flawless
Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, like it'd be worth like 5 times as much as this, right? It just it's I understand like that's how it is right now, but in wrestling,
a lot of these guys haven't even gotten their team to a playoff, let alone championships like Jerry West has.
In wrestling, it's not like this. If this was like a Hulk Hogan flawless auto out of 2, it'd be worth like $10,000, you know, $15,000, maybe more. But if it was like I don't know, pick somebody from NXT, somebody that we don't know, like I don't know, Braun Breaker or something like that, right?
Yeah, Braun Breaker
who hasn't made it to the roster, it wouldn't be that much.
Yes, I see that they're also having a lot of the Raw guys on NXT tonight. So I'm actually going to watch NXT. I usually don't watch it, but I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah. So very interesting. Pay attention to that. If you guys are wrestling fans, pay attention. And if you're not wrestling fans, but you want to get into it, you want to invest in it, you know, it's easier to invest because you can kind of price it based off of the legends. Okay. All right. So I feel like I got a lot off my chest in terms of things I wanted to talk about. Let's go to the comments.
All right, let's get them all. Comment time, folks. Adrian, CV Sports Cards. Gentlemen, how we doing tonight? Great. How you doing, Adrian? Have you recovered from your first show?
Yeah, it was nice setting up next to Adrian. He was hustling. I saw him for sure.
Yes, he's exhausted. I know he is. Calvin B. Cards. Hey, guys, hit the like button, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, hit the like button on our YouTube page.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll try to get to all the comments here, guys, but if we don't, apologize. But if you guys want to highlight your comment, just send us a super chat, and that's how we can highlight
Exactly. Super chat it, buddy. Make a donation. Modern Crime and Cards. Hit that Curator Army. Hit that like on Curator Army. Thank you, buddy. Prodigy Card Collector. Also, it was Brandon. I think it was his first time at doing a card show as a dealer at the.
Was he a dealer?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. We don't see
first
him
time
that
as
much.
well.
Yeah,
great guy too. Check out his stuff and his YouTube page. Good evening, guys. Great seeing you both at the show. Keep up the content. You as well, Brandon. A vintage card collector. Lots of chatter recently. There are too many regional shows. Do you agree? Yeah, we've been worried about that.
Yeah, I do. I think there's too many big regional shows. It's okay to have regional shows, but when they get over 300 tables, that's considered big time for me. And they're just happening. They're happening too frequently, and they're starting to conflict with each other in the schedules, which concerns me as somebody who goes to these shows. Because now, like, if I'm planning to go to a show and I'm going to spend money on a flight, hotel, all that stuff, I want to know if there's a competing show that weekend. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I want to know what's going on, because if I spend money just like I did in Las Vegas, if I spend a lot of money to go out there, and I'm not getting the foot traffic or the opportunities to do deals like I would expect normally, then I'm going to be upset. So this is something that I kind of want to start this conversation, and I hope that the promoters kind of start trying to work together a little bit to coordinate, because it'll be in everybody's best interest if they can coordinate where they're not stretching out the people that are going to these shows too much.
Papa Jim from Dallas. Hello, guys. Good to see you tonight. Likewise, Jim. We'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy. Preston Cards. Merle, you going to be set up at any shows coming up? I need some more graded guards. I'm going to have to do a local show just to sell graded guards, because I had them at the Del Mar Union Marketplace show, and I did pretty well again. I didn't do as great as I did at the Burbank card show, but I still had a steady flow of people buying graded cards from me.
If you guys didn't know, Merlin has become the official face of graded guard. So if you guys,
that's why I'm wearing the shirt.
Yes. If you guys need any graded guards, definitely talk to him.
Yep. We've got tons of them here in LA. Joe Schmo, I love the name. Can you pump some Pop Century cards for me? Those are the Leaf Pop Century celebrity cards.
Pop
Those are
Centuries,
good.
I always get people asking me about Pop Century cards.
It's really doing very well too.
It's surprising because they're sticker autos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're of the most random people that you would think. I've seen like a Rodney King Pop Century
I
card.
know, I
You
know,
know,
odd, isn't it?
actors, alternative athletes, um, what do you call it? Like cultural relevant people,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So it's very interesting. I have not gotten into it. I have one Pop Century card. It's a Michael Keaton Batman auto, which
That's a
I think
good
was
one.
cool. It's one of one. But interesting product for sure. And I don't even know who they make, but people always bring me different ones.
Well,
Like
the popular ones, there's like Bobby,
yeah,
Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. Then the
somebody
Amelia
brought
Clark, Kit
somebody,
Harington ones are
yeah,
popular.
you have one of those. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
brought me a Megan Fox auto, which I thought was really
Ooh,
cool.
nice.
But yeah, very interesting. I actually like the Pop Century. I don't know if I'm going to get into it, but I like it for sure.
I also heard that a lot of the photos on the Pop Century, though, are taken from the Stars, uh, whatever statue or whatever from the wax museums because
Oh,
they can
really?
legally take the photo. So a lot of times you're seeing a wax museum
Oh, well,
figure.
that just ruined it for me. That just ruined it for me. Thanks for that.
Who they are, I don't know, man. But if they looks kind of weird, then maybe you fear
Yeah.
they look kind of stiff. Joe Schmo and Marvel sketch cards. Do you still collect Marvel sketch cards?
Occasionally,
Yeah.
sketch cards are very interesting to me because I think people don't really see the value in them, but they're literally one of one works of art. If you can find a good one where they add color and they add time and detail to it,
Mm-hmm.
they are really cool cards to collect. Some guy had my new friend Jack. I don't know his Instagram,
Was
but
he the guy that had an
he had
entire case of sketch cards that came into our
yeah.
table?
Yeah, he had a flawless case of that he uses for his sketch cards. And some of those Star Wars sketch cards that he pulled out, they were really nice.
Mm.
Really nice. And I could see them holding a lot of value for them. So I think one day the hobby's gonna start coveting these sketch cards for sure. But right now you can get them for you know pennies, basically dirt cheap. You can get sketch
I
cards
know.
anywhere between like 50 to like $500, depending on the detail and the artist. And I think they're really cool. So I definitely think that that's going to be a thing in the future.
And then our
Especially
friend Stefan
yeah,
has those sketch card
yes,
booklets
yeah,
that he
especially
collects.
like the Marvel, the Star Wars sketch cards. I think those are really cool.
Mm-hmm. Modern crime and cards. SoCal promoters don't like each other. Maybe so. I don't know why.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do
A
have
few of them, yes.
yeah, I do have connections with some of them, and they tell me stories. I like to say it's like Game of Thrones here in SoCal. It's very competitive, and I'm sure it is in every other major region. But it's very competitive. It's like Game of Thrones. They're all trying to take each other out. They're all trying to do maneuvers to counter each other's shows and things like that. Maybe not so much now, but 6 months ago, yes, they definitely did
Yes.
that. Um, and it's kind of like the wrestling game, right? Wrestling territories and the promoters and what they used to do with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they should just work together. There's enough money to be made, right? Everybody doesn't have to always have their own thing. There, if you collaborate with people, you can probably get a lot more done.
Agree. Yeah, just hope there's no red wedding between the promoters. A vintage card collector. Big issue with the shows is so many dealers are way overpriced.
Here's the thing. The reason I highlight this comment is I hear this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends. Okay. If you're trying to buy a card that has a direct comp on it, then you have to negotiate with that dealer. And if he's not willing to negotiate, whatever, okay, then
And that's his issue.
He loses out on the sale. But most dealers that price according to comps, they will negotiate. They may look overpriced because maybe they don't update their tags on the cards or whatever
Right.
it is, okay? But most dealers now, they're smart enough to know that they can't hold on to cards. Their cards are not going to go up. You know what I mean? Like a year ago, if you went to try to buy a card from somebody and they had it overpriced, they might say, "Oh, I'm just going to hold on to it until Luka gets a triple double, and then the price is going to shoot up." Right? That was the belief back then.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna wait till they win a game and their price is going to go up or whatever.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
It's not like that anymore. If the price goes down, likely it's probably going to go down again or stay steady or something like that. We know that individual performance, daily performance, does not really impact the value of cards. So I think that most dealers are smart enough about that, but you have to be willing to negotiate with these dealers. Don't just get turned off because you see the prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Because understand that that's like, it's almost like eBay at card shows. You see the price, but it's also best offer as well, folks.
Yes.
Everything has the best offer.
Yeah. And even if something doesn't have a direct comp, and you still think it's overpriced, just negotiate anyways. That's part of the game.
Yes.
Okay. You have to like tenderize these people a little bit. Don't be offended or turned off or whatever it is. Because on the flip side of that, if you post or you price your cards accordingly, people are still going to try to beat you up on it.
Oh, I know, right?
Sure, at shows. That's just part of the dance, right?
If you put $5 for $100 card, they're still going to say, "I'll give this to you for $2.50."
Yeah, it happens all the time. So don't be afraid to negotiate, people. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, as a customer, you got to put work into it as well.
Yeah,
just like the dealer has to.
It's just part of the game. Is this you? Did you comment in here, or is this a clone?
Yeah, that's me from Preston. I was telling him I'm going to have great regards for Preston. I'll read my own comment.
Mm-hmm. This is a follow up to my quiet quitting.
Okay, Sean. Sure, Dan, but when you already stand out relative to the crowd, there's very little incentive to do extra. ...
I just don't believe in that. If you're at an employer, if your employer does not recognize or value your skill, okay, that happens sometimes, and that's probably happened to a lot of people for sure. Okay, but you will, if you can set yourself apart, you will be desired. Okay, and other employers will find you. This happens all the time. People make lateral moves to different companies all the time where they can get appreciated more and they can get paid more. But it's better to be in that position where you can make a move to a different company than to be just doing the bare minimum work. Okay. I mean, I don't see the value in that mentality at all. And I worry for younger people who are in that position, because you're not going to be able to level up your game wherever you are, whether you work as an hourly employee or as a salary employee or anything like that. Right. If you don't stand out from the crowd, you're not going to get noticed. And if you already stand out from the crowd, Sean, okay, you better make sure that you continue to stand out, because there's always somebody else out there that can overtake you, right? And be better at something than you are, because they care more or they hustle more or something like that. And you don't want to do that. And I'll give you an example. I'm trying to get a new car right now, and I was at the dealership talking to this salesman. And the salesman, at the dealership, there's 2 offices. Most car salespeople, they sit in a cubicle at a desk in the bullpen, right? But this one dealership had 2 offices. One office was reserved for the senior salesperson. He's like this old guy in his 50s who's the top dog of the company. And the guy that I was dealing with was this young kid, 22 years old, had his own office. So I'm looking around. I'm like, hey, dude, how'd you get your own office, man? How'd you get your own office? And he's like, well, I outsold everybody else, and I keep pace with the top dog, which is the old guy. And that's how I got the office. Right. So even if you stand out from the crowd, right. And the way that he was doing that, he says, I always go the extra mile. This is what kind of got me to think about this topic for tonight, was my experience with this guy yesterday. I do extra. I always go the extra mile for my clients. That's how I get all the sales and this and that, right? And that's how I'm able to keep up with this older dude who's doing this for 30 years. I've only been a salesman. He's only been a salesman for 8 months. 8 months.
Well, 8 months.
Yeah, and he's able to be on the same level as this old dude who's been doing it for 30 years, right?
Oh, Lordy.
So don't ever, be complacent. Don't, what they say, call it, rest on your laurels, right? Because there could always be a younger person that will jump up and overtake you, right? If you're already the top dog, then maybe you've gone as far as you can with that company, and you need to go somewhere else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if once you get to that level where you're the best person at what you do and you go the extra mile and you get noticed, then you want to stay on top of the hill. And otherwise somebody can kick you off. All right. That's just my personal experience, guys. Whatever, do whatever you want. It's your life. Okay. But that's what I believe. And that's what's led me to success in my personal career.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I ended up like. I had to compete when I got into the editing world. I mean, I did it late, was a late bloomer. And most everybody that I learned from or that mentored me were in their 20s, straight out of college. So I'm like, what do I have to do to compete against these guys? Because I feel like these guys are a little more knowledgeable than me, a little more gifted at it, more experience, and plus younger. Because, this is, there is some ageism, even people won't admit it. There is, they'd rather have a younger kid than someone, twice their age. So I was like, what do I have to do to get myself noticed? And I was like, well, I'll just do all the crap work that everybody hates to do. And I'll just be the best at it. So I was like, give me all the administrative work, the organizing, the logging, the Excel sheets, everything. I'll just do it and I won't complain. And I'll just turn on some music loud in the room and I'll just work till the wee hours of the night getting it done. And I'll act like I enjoy it, because they like, oh, we'll just give it to Merlin. So each time I'm like, okay, who else can we get on this show? Because they know that everybody's going to bitch about this work, but they know that Merlin would never bitch about it. So they would keep hiring me to do this work. So I would do it. And I'm like, well, I've done all this work. Help me this. And, they would help me, show me how to do some effects, or, you know what I mean? Like the other guys would show me some tricks to the trade for me doing all this hard work because they wouldn't have to do it anymore. And that's what I had to do. I had to figure it out.
Yeah. And look at where you are now in your career. Like a lot of people don't know this, but like Merlin, you've worked on very famous shows. You work with very famous people. You've been on location. When you showed me that you were on location in that island for like
the Guella, Caribbean.
Yeah. And they set you up in that place. You've had really amazing opportunities in your career. And now you're able to like do cards, essentially full time, go travel essentially full time. And you're still taking jobs, editing and stuff because of the reputation that you've built.
Right. Yeah. It's tough, but it took a while.
Yeah. It's not easy it's not easy. It's not cheap to live and be and work in the entertainment industry in LA, but you've been there because you grinded and you got to where you are right now.
And just like the card market, it takes a lot of hustle. You have to hustle for your next gig.
Right.
You got to call around. If you don't hear nobody's going to keep knocking at your door all the time. Yeah. You do get lucky that it does come in waves, but there's some dry spells. So it's up to you to start reaching out to people. Like you've got to talk to people.
People always recognize good work, guys. Yeah. So they always want the best. The cream always rises to the top. So even if you're not being compensated, monetarily for that, it will pay off. It will pay off. Believe me.
And it's also good to remember everybody's names too. Like say people by their first name all the time because people love hearing their name coming out of your mouth. That's for sure. I heard that on TV once, and let me tell you, it works. Feed the gods. Aaron, what's up, buddy? I definitely networked this weekend. Yes, you did. Haven't felt so alive in such a long time. And I can do agree with Dan. Most people I know my age are really awkward meeting new people. Loyalty is a lost commodity. That is so true, Aaron. It was also great meeting your father. I think Aaron's dad's probably the same age as I am. He's a very young man. Because I thought they were brothers.
Definitely a character. For sure.
They were great. I loved hanging out with you two guys. I wish I could hang out with y'all guys more.
Love very, very good to see you too, Aaron.
Patrick. Oh, there's Patrick in the Stormtrooper outfit. I love it. Networking is the most important aspect of this hobby. Not everything is transactional. So true, Patrick.
Yes. That's where a lot of people, that's the message that I really want people to take away from this show is not everything is monetary, right? It's not all about how much money you make. Sometimes you get value from other things, from the relationship building, from networking, from opportunities. So that's what people really have to realize.
And there's so many times, I may not sell that much at a card show, but because I met so many people and I did so much networking and everything at these shows, that people do reach out to me on Instagram, afterwards. And they may decide they want that card later, but it was too late, or they saw it on my eBay store. So they're Merlin, remember me at the so-and-so card show. I would love to buy this card from you. Can we make a deal through Instagram? And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But that, it in the long-term effect, it helps a lot knowing all these people. We got another question from Aaron. Okay, he said, I did a lot of networking, and oh my God, people were walking up to me and saying, here, cash me out of my cards. And I was willing to make a deal fair to both of us. Loved it. I love hearing. Oh, that's Adrian. Love it, Adrian. Okay. Jay Loading. Before full-time carding, laugh out loud. What were your jobs? It's still our jobs.
Yes.
We talk about it.
We don't do this full-time,
guys. Mediator.
We do this full-time, yes, but this is not our full-time living, okay?
Yes.
This is not our full-time living.
It's become like we've got 2 full-time jobs now, Dan. We have our day job and then this job.
I tell people I do this full-time, but I don't make full-time income.
But it is catching up to us doing both jobs. It is towards the end of the year, and the recovery time is not as fast as it was at the beginning of the year for me. I will admit.
So to answer your question, Merlin, you are
an editor, writer, director. I'll do it all. Yes,
you do film, commercial, music videos, things like that. I do divorce mediation, and I'm a real estate investor also.
Yes, he is. Just an investor in all. Dan is. Vintage card collector. Dan, what's your outlook on vintage Star Wars long term? Do you think all the interest in ultra modern Star Wars will get more people interested in the vintage?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
And I've been kind of like, I don't talk about it very much, guys, because it's coming. It's coming, and I'm still trying I'm still trying to get my own stuff, to be honest. But this is how it works with cards. Okay, new collectors jump in and they want to buy the new stuff that is relevant. If they watch The Mandalorian, they want to collect Mandalorian cards, right? If they watch Obi-Wan, they want to collect Obi-Wan cards, the relevant stuff, right? What's new, what's shiny. And then eventually they get to a point where they start to look back, and then they go back to the older cards. They're going to go back to the earlier years, the 90s, 80s, and eventually they're going to go back to vintage. So same thing's going to happen in Star Wars. People will get into it. This is why we have to support both modern and vintage cards. I know there's a lot of people that only do one or the other, but you have to understand that young people, they don't want to collect vintage. Okay, young people did not grow up watching the first three episodes, right? They grew up watching the animated series Clone Wars, or the recent shows on Disney Plus, or the last trilogy movies. Okay, so these young people, they're going to collect what's relevant and what's meaningful to them. And as they learn about Star Wars more, they're going to go back and they're going to appreciate the vintage stuff. So yes, at some point, vintage will be talked about and will be coveted and collected among all the new collectors coming in to the hobby. And right now, I have a modern Star Wars card index, a 50 card index, which I curated myself for my own personal taste on Market Movers app. And
now can you tell us, me and the viewers, what a card index is?
Okay, so just real quick, I had the modern index up, and in a couple months, I will have a vintage index up.
Okay.
But right now, the modern index is it. But basically, what I did is they asked me to pick like 50 to 100 cards, Star Wars modern cards, which could build out a collection for people. So I picked my favorite, okay? And this is very important for people to understand. I picked my favorite Star Wars cards. These are not the top cards to invest in. These are not the most valuable cards. These are my top cards based on, for my opinion, for my collection, so that I put it out there as like a starting guide for a lot of people. The criteria was a little bit tough because they had to have eBay transactions so that they could track it on the Market Movers app. So that was like my only restriction. But I went from like 1996 finest all the way up to present day. It's mostly Galaxy Chrome, because that's what I love to collect. So if you guys want to see what the cards that I like, go to that Market Movers app. They cataloged all the cards and they have them so you can view them front and back. So it's a great archive of modern Star Wars cards. And if you sign up for the app, you just use my curator code. It's 99 cents for the first month, I think.
Wow.
Good deal. Just try it out. Have fun with it. And then it's a great learning tool to see. Okay, and we're gonna be doing more promotion on that pretty soon. So just kind of look out for that. And the vintage index will come soon. I want to get the modern established first, and then we will introduce the vintage for sure.
Nice. Can't wait to check it out, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So 99 cents for the first month if you use the promo code Curator, correct?
Yes. Market Movers app, guys. Check it out. It's really cool. You can see all the cards up there, really high resolution scans and things like that, and you get to see a lot of cool different cards that you didn't know existed before.
Johnny Birch, I agree with you 100%, Dan. The market in WWE and most alternative niche products makes more sense in valuing.
I agree. Yeah, I think it makes sense, guys. I think it makes sense, and I hope that other sports kind of transition that too.
Here he is, Kelly, rip and list. Maybe you already addressed this, but should Vegas give up on trying to have a big card show?
I mean, I think I made my opinion. I think I made my opinion pretty clear on that. I would, to be honest. I just don't think they have the community to support it, the local community to support a big show, and I think there's just too many entertainment distractions that pull money out from the card show.
Including gambling.
I myself, I gambled when I was there, guys. Like my wife wanted to go out gambling. We lost $500 that I could have spent at the card show because it was just too damn tempting. You know? Yeah.
Ed Ram, what's up, buddy? Dallas show, 700 tables. Ouch for vendors in small rooms. Yeah, we already had the experience at that last Dallas show when I finally got to meet you, Ed.
I'm concerned about that because Dallas had the magic, the secret formula. They had it down for so many shows, and I think that I worry that they're just getting too big, and it's taking away. We'll see.
But it didn't hurt me because I did notice that many of my customers were now dealers.
Yeah,
at the Dallas show, and so they weren't work on the floor anymore. Plus, they were trying to make their money back, not only just for their table, but everything they've invested in them to become a dealer at the show. So they weren't buying from me now because they weren't making any money like everybody else wasn't making money at that last show.
We'll see in the next Dallas show in November, first week of November. This is going to be a big test for the hobby. If Dallas is not a strong show, then we're going into winter. For sure. Winter's coming, guys. Winter's coming.
Steven, we're going through unprecedented economic times, including this hobby we all love. But I'm confident the value of most cards will go up. Thoughts, guys? I agree. You just have to be patient. Don't cash out so quickly and hesitantly.
Yeah. Just like every other market, there's a down period, and then eventually it ends and it goes up again. Okay, so you just got to weather the storm. So either you hunker down and you weather the storm, or you look at it as a buying opportunity to get into cards that you couldn't get into before. But eventually it will go up. The only way that everything is just totally screwed is if like the hobby dies. Okay, and I just don't see that's happening. There's been too much investment in the hobby and the infrastructure of the hobby the last 2 years for it to die out. From this, so I think it'll be fine.
Dennis moves. Good point. Great curator. Thank you, Dennis. Dennis, what did you guys collect as kids? I collected the first boxes I ever got were football cards from 79-80 from my great grandparents, then baseball cards, and it was mostly that until the 90s. When I finally got into basketball.
Yeah, my fondest memory of things that I collected as a kid were G.I. Joes. I love G.I. Joes. And at some point, you'll see me talking about G.I. Joes a lot more.
But you and I had different G.I. Joes. We were a different generation. I had the big ones. With the fuzzy hair.
Yeah, so I collected the 3 and 3/4 inch ones.
Yes.
I have a ton of them at my house that I'll probably start displaying those a little bit more, to be honest.
Definitely Star Wars toys because, Dan, you know how old I was when the first Star Wars came out?
10?
I was 7.
7, yeah. So, see, these are the kind of G.I. Joes that I collected. I love them so much. I was just obsessed with these things here.
That's awesome.
And one of my favorite G.I. Joes all time is I get to show this off. This is the first time. This is the world premiere of me showing this card off. I haven't even posted it yet. one of my favorite GI Joes
Oh, Slaughter.
of all time, Sergeant Slaughter. I know Sergeant Slaughter as a GI Joe. I don't know him as a wrestler.
What? Really?
Yeah, because he was
Even
right.
from the early 90s when he
He was
was
at the
the
tail
bad
end
guy?
of his career, tail end of his career at the time.
Okay.
So and he was a heel, so I didn't like him as much at that time because he was an Iraqi sympathizer. That was
Yeah,
his
no,
gimmick
right?
back then. But as a GI Joe in the GI Joe movie, he was like the most badass character to me, and I happen to have his super fractor right here, one super fractor. So I love it, guys. Let's see here.
Aaron, feed the gods. What's your guys' thoughts on the controversy surrounding backyard breaks receiving loaded boxes straight from Panini? Now, I've seen these videos popping up all over YouTube regarding this controversy, but I haven't really watched any. Dan, do you know more about this?
I don't really pay attention to that gossip too much, to be
Me
honest.
either.
I've loosely heard about it from some posts I've seen. I don't believe in these type of conspiracies. I think that I just don't see why Panini would risk their reputation to support those particular breakers over everybody else. If there's maybe like an insider that's doing it, I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion on it, to be honest, because like who cares? As long as those cards get pulled and they go out into the community, then that's what it is, right? I think a lot of people just don't like those guys because their personalities kind of obnoxious. That's their gimmick, though.
Right.
So people don't like them, so they're looking for ways to take them down. I think that the guy who made the video, he's probably trying to have his pokey. What's that guy's name that did that video on Logan Paul's case, like Pokey Mate or something like that? He's trying to have that type of moment where he breaks a big conspiracy, and if he does, that's great. But I just, it's just not something that's like top of mind for me. I don't really care, to be honest. But I will say this: I saw that those guys, the backyard break guys, made a video basically acknowledging all the hate that they got from it, and
receiving.
I feel like they took a page out of my playbook by making a video like that. So if I thought it was creative, their response to it. I think they basically just copied what I did to those trolls that were going after me a couple weeks ago.
So you think the backyard breakers are watching your videos, Dan?
I think so for sure. But again, I don't participate in their breaks. I don't buy cards that expensive through breaks or anything like that. So really, it doesn't. I have no opinion about it. But I don't believe in conspiracies like that. Okay. Let's see here.
Okay, what do we have next? Good question, Aaron. Thank you so much. Jay Loading, thoughts on when House of Dragon cards will drop? Not soon enough.
Okay. This will be the last comment that we will take here, and then we'll wrap it up. But we haven't talked about this, but I want to talk about it a lot more. Maybe not tonight, but in the future streams. I am loving House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones. Oh my God, this is the best show on TV now.
And don't tell me what happened on Sunday. I haven't watched it. We're going to watch it tonight after the show.
It is must see. It is must see TV for me. Like I don't get a lot of time to watch TV. I'm not up to date on Lord of the Rings. I haven't even watched She-Hulk.
We watched the first episode, and I'm supposed to watch it with my neighbors, but they've been.
I haven't watched Andor. I haven't kept
up.
I
watched it. It's very good. I do like it.
Yeah.
Maria doesn't like it because she thinks it's a little too it's slow paced.
I don't have time to watch all these TV shows, but Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, much watch for me. This show is so good. That not yesterday's episode, but the last episode when spoilers, guys, when the king opened that door and he's walking down to sit on the throne to support his daughter.
Yeah,
that was just like the most badass moment to me. I loved it so much. I cannot wait for those cards to drop. I don't know who has the license for that, Tops or something like that. Whoever has the license for that, I cannot wait because I need myself a what's that guy's called? King Viserys. The names are so hard for me to pronounce. Yes, King Viserys auto. I need a King Viserys auto. I pray that it's on card. Hopefully it's on card. What's his name?
Patty Constantine or something.
Yeah,
like that?
Patty Constantine auto. I think that would be badass. I love that show. I love the characters, the way the characters look with all the white long hair, everything. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, the dragons, everything about them. I love that show so much. So if you guys haven't watched that
we
show,
do too. We love it.
Check it out. Check out that show. It is awesome. And believe me, when those cards drop, we will be talking about them a lot more on the show.
I can't wait, guys.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll wrap it up. Let's anything you want to plug? I got a couple things here on my end here. I'm going to be doing a live interview with Dave and Adam's podcast tomorrow.
Oh, what time's that?
It's 9 a.m.
Ooh, early.
It will post 9 a.m. What's it called? 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
But it will run on playback on YouTube, so you guys can watch it there. Very good conversation. We talk about a little bit of wrestling. We talk about pumping and the state of the hobby, things like that. So very cool interview I did with them. So check that out. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just check out my YouTube channel, please, guys. All the Curator Army, if you don't subscribe to the Mer World Maniacs, then go to my channel at Mer World Cards. That's 2 words, Mer World, then Cards, and just subscribe. You don't have to keep going on my channel if you don't want to, but just hit the subscribe button. Just to do it, just to make us 2 happy guys right here.
Yes,
and
we need to get him. We need to get him.
Hit a like, smash that belt button or whatever. Yeah, get my algorithms going to everybody else, to your grandmother, who else, to your grandpappy, whoever.
Yes. Please help Merlin. We're gonna have a big party when he gets there. We're gonna do lots of giveaways.
I got a lot of subscribers last week, I guess, because they were talking about you and they had video of me on the some of those channels. If anybody, I saw Mer World Cards above me.
If anybody wants to make a reaction video to Merlin, Mer World Cards, if anybody wants to start an online beef with Mer World Cards, AIH Sports Card Radio. If you guys want to go after Mer World Cards, please.
Dan, everybody says you're just using me and beating me up and everything, all kinds of nastiness.
I'm gonna
you're just taking advantage of me. Quit it, man.
Yeah,
they want me to turn on you so much.
We're gonna get Merlin to be trending for sure, but please help him out, guys.
Always trendy.
We need to get this man to 1,000.
I'm getting there. I'm almost at 800 now, guys. So thank you.
200 more. If anybody wants to pay for some subscribers, it's like $10. You get like 1,000 subscribers. So I'll turn my head away from that. We're not gonna say anything. It all counts, guys. So help them out, please. Okay. But anyways, thank you guys. Appreciate the good deep conversations that we had tonight. Hope you guys appreciate it. If you like it, then we'll do more of that on this show. And if you don't like it, then don't say anything. Okay. That's pretty much it, guys.
Also, Dan, we're gonna take a break next week because I'll be in the Caribbean. I don't know what kind of connection we'll have over there.
Okay.
Plus, I'll be busy with Maria. She doesn't want me to do this, so we won't be back until 2 weeks from now. Okay.
Okay. We're taking a break. Much needed vacation, guys. But we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And that's it, guys. All right.
Enjoy it, guys. I'll see you next time with a tan.